Rinan Shah. She is originally from Bijanbari, Darjeeling and is currently living in Bangalore pursuing her PhD and is working on domestic water scarcity and urban mountain towns. She has quite a lot to tell us when it comes to water scarcity in Darjeeling, along with featuring other conversations as well. But since Rinan was running a very busy schedule, I had to steal some time with her in the following way. I hope you enjoy it. So guys, sorry about a little bit of shaky footage that we might find. Rinan is like really busy girl out here. So okay, so Rinan, why don't you tell us a little about yourself by yourself?
So I was born in Bijanbari and then I did like my first junior like KG nursery like that. I studied for 1 or 2 years there. So then I didn't get admission apparently in any Darjeeling school. That's what I think the story is. And then I started studying in Kalimpong in St. Joseph's Convent. So I studied there till my class 10 and then I moved to Visakhapatnam with some of my friends to do my 11-12 because convent that time didn't have 11-12. And then from Visakhapatnam I moved to Noida, Amity University to study engineering, computer science and engineering for 4 years. And and then I worked for 2 years post that in an IT firm, and then I planned to shift gears a little and do my masters in climate change and sustainability studies from TIS Mumbai. And then eventually I moved to Bangalore in 2015 to do my PhD here at A3.
So you've been here for just about 5 years, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So how has Bangalore been for you? Like, are you living with your family or are you like solo?
So in the beginning when I joined my PhD, I was living by myself in the hostel, PhD hostel. But like my brother was here. But then around in 2017, my sister moved back to Bangalore to do her masters. Now we are all living together.
Oh, okay. So what is the PhD, the research that you're doing on, the thesis?
Okay, so I'm working on domestic water scarcity in urban mountain towns. That's my very particular topic, but I would like to also talk about how it fits into the entire environment.
Yes, I was very interested in that.
Narrative, yeah. But I've also, because my PhD fellowship got over last year, I've also started working as a consultant on the side with the German GIZ, which is the German Development Agency.
Okay. And but you do, I just found it pretty interesting that, the thesis that you're doing is actually very related to back home, right? Did you pick that out specifically because of that, or like did you just think it was a good subject to be?
So the thing is, I after doing my engineering, I wanted to do something in sustainable development design and planning kinds on those lines, and then I landed up with the master's program in TIS, which was a very new experience from me, because since like for the past 6 years before that, or 7 years before that, I was only working or studying about science and technology and stuff. But the masters threw me into a different space altogether, which was more interdisciplinary, and where I learned about a lot of things which I had questions for but not answers for. So the masters really opened some of my horizons a little more. But I think that also happened with my PhD. So my PhD was also a different kind. So that also, I think every course I have done has opened my insights on and different aspects. And it was during the end of my masters that we had to do a master's thesis.
See, another thing that I wanted to mention, when it came to you, the reason why I chose you also, because for the reference and everything, that I'm just being totally honest here, okay? I really think people like you represent the youth of our society currently. You are a mix.
Yes.
Because your father is Bihari, right?
Yeah.
And your mother is a
Rai.
And
because of this, when we talk about cultural assimilation and all these kind of things, have you ever felt like an outsider back home, or have you always felt like part of the thing? Has this ever come to you, across to you, or is this too personal?
No, I mean, it's not. It's fine. It's like, yeah, it has happened sometimes because you don't look. I mean, even within there, right? You don't look like this, or you don't look like that. And then when you're seeing people around you, like, oh God, I wish we looked similar.
Yes.
That those things happen, and also sometimes you feel like, like, I don't know, because sometimes I feel like, I feel sad, like what if my parents have had to face that difficulty when, like, my mother had to go to this community, or my father had to go to the other community, because even within communities those things happen. Yeah, I mean, it used to affect me before, like, because there were some differences. Mostly it was like a little superficial but it used to be, but now I think I'm fine. But it still it has come up in a different form.
Yeah, you know why? Because why I talk about this is this thing, because I think this is very important, because when we are talking about, I know I'm doing stories on Indian Gorkhas, but back home it's not just about the Indian Gorkhas. There are so many other people. There are the Lepchas, there are the Bhutias. They may not relate to us as they may not relate to as Gorkhas, but they are the indigenous people from there, and we have our own pride. But in between all of these things, I have noticed that there is a lot of people. There are interracial marriage, a lot of it, right?
Yes.
So a lot of people are like, back home most of them relate like, mo yahan ka hi ho, mo Gorkha hi ho, But but these are very hard questions and hard answers, I think.
Yeah. It is. I mean, because because we know it's a fact, right? Not everybody, ascribes to the Gorkha identity. So I think when you define something from back home, it has to be explicitly said. Because just saying Gorkha, I think, would be very small now.
Yes, it's very small now, because we are very diverse now.
Yes. I mean, I think we were diverse from the beginning. Our assimilation happened. Now we are a small group. But again, it's like...
we were diverse before, and I think we were fighting a lot less, probably, if I may be audacious enough to say this. But I will also say the fact that while our diverse boy, Pani, people were like, अब भोटे थियो, लाप्चे थियो, आजको दिनमा चाहिँ सबैजना एकअर्कासित पुरा बिहा पनि हुँदैछ. Cultural assimilation चाहिँ डरलाग्दो पाराले हुँदैछ नि त. Like you are, what do you say? You are an example of one of that, right? So it is time to talk about it, types. I don't know, but then I don't like the political hatred that is there present back home. So अब के भन्नु अब बहिनी यस्तै हो टाइपको.
It's like we are moving forward, but also we are moving steps backward.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you keep a balance? Because if you are thriving, it does not mean that the other communities should not, and like that should not come out in a negative way, right?
Yes.
And then, but it's unfortunate that maybe as a community as a whole we are progressing, but there are small things that still hold us back.
Can you mention one small thing?
No, I don't think so. I can mention one small thing.
Yeah, and these are the things that it becomes so difficult to talk on camera. Probably we'll probably talk about it privately, But
we know, everybody knows it.
Everybody knows it. And that's what kind of makes it sad, I guess. All of you watching this interview may be finding this like, पता नहीं क्या कुरा गर्दैछ यिनीहरुले,
Oh God.
This is something that I wanted to make it casual, and after all, this is the series about the modern Indian Gorkhas. How modern could you get? Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
She has a Gorkha lineage to her. She has another cultural lineage to her. I have a Gorkha lineage. There are so many people like us. So Rinan, I just wanted to ask you now, finally, like, what is it that you are doing in Bangalore currently? I know you're doing a PhD. Like, what is all that is up with you right now?
So I'm trying to finish my PhD. My PhD is, as I mentioned, is on domestic water scarcity in urban mountain towns. So I'm looking at why is there so much water in the eastern Himalayan region, but like the communities face water scarcity throughout the year. So I'm trying to look at biophysical aspects, trying to look at the political economic aspects, also trying to look at institutional aspects, and looking at all this I want to see like at household level, like how much do people consume, right?
Yeah.
And like my preliminary results show that they don't consume what is scientifically supposed to be in the fit number. But I think, that is a question that still has to be explored. That is one. That's my PhD thesis. And then secondly, I'm also, because my fellowship got over, you need to survive. So I have also started working as a consultant for GIZ, where I'm working on a project called Water Security and Climate Adaptation in Rural India. So for that, I am an independent consultant working with them. So that's where we are going right now, because we have to work out of a government office. So
you are going to a government office right now.
Yes.
Which government office is that?
So this is the Panchayati Raj and Rural Development Commissionerate, but we work with a particular project called Jalamruta, which is Jalamruta, as the name suggests, related to water.
Related to water. So since you are, you talked about your preliminary reports,
Yes.
Was it on like your thesis? I would like to ask you again, because I was not exactly clear about it. See, the thing is on you're doing the study on Darjeeling and all, right?
Yes.
What was that? Could you repeat that thing?
Okay,
I'm
I'm working on
the thesis topic.
Yeah. So my thesis, if you want to know the title,
the title.
It's called Disentangling the Drivers of Domestic Water Scarcity in the Eastern Himalayan Region.
Okay. So which are the case studies that you're doing?
So I'm not doing case studies. I'm doing like site-specific studies. So I'm working in Darjeeling town.
Okay. So when we were talking about those reports, were we talking in relation to Darjeeling?
Yes. So my study is only based in Darjeeling, because other cities if I took up would be a lot of work, is what I thought. And I also, because I wanted to do that, the lineage. So I wanted to, I'm trying to connect the biophysical. I'm saying like, I receive X amount of water, right? In the form of rainfall. But what happens that your water that comes as rainfall gets eventually converted to water that you consume at home.
But you also mentioned that we are not consuming as much as we were supposed to. Could you kind of shed some light on that?
Okay, I mean the numbers. So the numbers vary, right? Like the World Health Organization says, like every person should have a minimum of 135 liters per person per day.
Yeah.
That's a lot, right? If you think
Yes.
of it. However, the Indian government has different numbers. So depending upon where you belong, whether you're rural, whether you're urban or with a proper sanitation system, sanitation sewerage system. So the numbers vary from something around say like 50 liters per person per day to say if you go to the urban, then urban is the highest at around 130 or 120 liters per person per day. But the case is not so in Darjeeling.
How much are we consuming?
So I would say like around the three quartiles, right? The 75% people are below, are way less, and there's only like a short. So there's a very small group of, say even within the top 25, like around say 5 or 10%, who have 135 and above.
Who have 135, 5 and that is a really less amount. So the reason why we have so much of a problem right now, is it just because of population or bad planning, or is it just because of?
See, I don't like to blame the population for
Yes,
it.
that's
not my thing. Because it's happening everywhere, right? The population growth is there, but what is also, it's not that the people are not coping. And see, the numbers that I have gotten are from a very small study. Small in the sense, it's big enough for like a one-person thesis, because I have interviewed around 250 households. So
Okay.
And maybe my measurements might be a little flawed, but I would not say that it is really rosy because we know how much water we get, right?
Yes.
that the municipality gives you like twice a week, and which is like 1500 liters. If you simply divide that 1500 across 7 days, how much are you getting? Not even like 200 liters per day, and that you have to divide within a family.
Okay. The 135 liters per person. Not even close.
Not even close.
Okay.
And so I feel so my study like one of my papers is published, but that's mostly generic about what are the different institutions, because our scenario is a mixture. Like, it's not like the scenario of the cities. Even if you might call it a mountain city, the mountain city is much different compared to what a small town is, right? Like plains.
True.
So what I have seen is, I think the bigger drivers could be regional disparity, could be the political economic problems, and how institutions work together.
That is true. Now that has just made me a little wiser, especially with the stats. Something that I did not know. I think something that a lot of people are not aware of. Simple basic things like 135 liters per person. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think it is very important that people should know such things, to be honest. And
Yeah.
people talk about water, but they do not know. They are only, general, as a layman's perspective, we are concerned with हामीले यति पानी चाहिँ पाउनुपर्छ है types, but they do not know कति पानी also. That हक साथ क्या.
That, I think that is a bigger problem. Is like, sometimes we tend to be naive, or are we just built like that के भन्छ, we are like, अब जति दिन्छ त्यतिमै मिलाइहाल्छ. They'll be like that.
Yeah.
Then sometimes I've asked people questions like, why don't you all, how can you all survive with this much water? They do survive, right? But
Yes.
it's like the worst thing. So then people also say morbid things like, till now nobody has died, no? Like, some people have also told me that.
So
Like,
after
pani comes.
doing your research when
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, I don't know if I can say that, but they have told me things like that. Like, nobody has died, no, until now, so it's not a big problem, right? And also people have told me like, how much can we ask water also? उनीहरुकोमै त पानी छैन, हामी चाहिँ कसरी माग्नु देशे. So there is a kind of like a pitying the government,
Yes.
but also being a little naive.
Mm.
Then you're not asking for what you want. That is one troublesome aspect I find in like back home sometimes. I don't know. It's like we tend to be a little servile. That's not a good word. I don't know if it's a good word or not. But we tend to be like, okay, whatever is given to us, we accept. We never try to question whether we are getting whatever we are getting is enough or not. Just we are getting, we'll be happy.
That is true. That's a good point that you've put across, I forget the term or that statement when they say like, I don't know. I completely forget, so I can't even recall.
You can put a voice over later.
Yeah. But then, that was very interesting to know. Now, this was something that was really worth talking about.
Yeah, that's what I said. So I'm still figuring out. See, I have the numbers, but then you know how difficult it is to get it published.
Yes.
So I have the first paper that I published is fine. The second two papers are under review, and the household paper I'm still working on because I'm not able to figure out how to put it out.
Okay, Rinan. I guess Rinan has to leave now.
Thank you so much for doing this. It was a great ride here to work. La.
So have a great day at work then.
I wish Rinan all the very best in all her endeavors, and I hope you enjoyed this little episode of ours. See you until next time.